Candy Duncan is a retired KPMG partner who led the DC office for many years. And let me tell you, that is a very unusual thing for a woman to do. She is a founding member of Paradigm for Parity. It's an organization dedicated to the leadership gender gap in corporate America, which includes the entry levels, the C-suites, and the boardroom. Welcome to the podium, Candy.
Cynthia, Amy, thank you so much. Wow, what an impressive group of speakers. And I think we're going to find some synergies as we walk through some of the things that this group, which began just 2 years ago, is trying to do. Really supporting, Paula, what you were talking about, and, bringing more women, bringing more individuals into, what we hope will be the C-suite, the board, etc. But you've got to start with a good foundation and a good basis. Paradigm for Parity movement is a coalition of business leaders dedicated to addressing the corporate leadership gender gap. And as you think about that, one of the things that I'll give you some statistics on is when you have a college class, it's usually more than 50-50 women. It may be 55, it may be 60%. I'm sure you could share that what comes in isn't what we see at the other end. We have more women in college, but yet when we look at those that are rising to the top, it's not near what it needs to be, and nowhere close to 50-50. Same as what we heard from Paula in the technology space. This movement is a movement of CEOs, senior executive founders, board members, and business academics who are committed to achieving a new normal and trying to reset the stage of corporate America, which, we're looking to have men and women bringing all the talents to the table to tell the story, to where there's power, status, and opportunity for all. My personal story is one of which I was pretty fortunate. With KPMG for 38 years. Yep, that's a long time. And saw it all. Was the first female partner in Virginia. Was the first female managing partner here in the DC area. One of the first female board members for KPMG. And yet, I have to be honest and tell you, I was lucky. I was very fortunate. I had a lot of male supporters that kind of pulled me up and pulled me along. But that really isn't normal. I saw a lot of my friends that had a lot of other issues and a lot of other challenges. And I even look at the workplace today. Again, it's a 50-50 male-female, and yet we're not seeing 50% of the partners or the leaders, rise to that particular position. So I'm really pushing this to push others along and to help support in any way that I can. And we're seeing good movement. This isn't a matter of big numbers. It's one company at a time. We're going to talk about what it really means. And as of today, there are a little over 30 companies that have signed the agreement that they will bring parity into their workplace. And I know we have a couple people from Ernst here, and I'm very proud that Ernst was one of the early signers. It will be announced here shortly. Accenture has signed, many other companies that you would be familiar with, Heidrick, DSL Logistics, a number of companies. But what we're trying to do is work with organizations, not on a large scale, but one by one, where there are thousands of people under the umbrella that will help lift up everybody. As we've heard before, powerful evidence links gender balanced leadership with financial and stock market outperformance. And I'll say that again. Paula alluded to it. But those companies that have a balance of diversity, different thought, different ways of doing things outperform the others. Simply put, companies with women in senior leadership positions do have performance that we all want to be associated with, whether it's working with them, working for them, having them as a supplier, or just owning their stock. P4P has outlined unique and specific frameworks for action to help companies progress towards gender parity. When simultaneously implemented, the steps in the Paradigm for Parity 5-point action plan cause change and enable substantial progress toward gender parity, and we're looking to do this by 2030. No, it's not 2020, and probably it should be, but we've been on this path. I would say the average age of the executives that are part of the Paradigm for Parity are close to 60. So right or wrong, they've seen how long it takes to really see movement within something like this. But listen to the 5 steps. 1, minimize or eliminate unconscious bias through frequent training. Wow, where did we just hear that? Thank you, Paula. 2, significantly increase the number of women in senior operating roles. Near term, 30% women with ultimate goal of gender parity by 2030. 3, measure targets at every level and regularly communicate progress and results internally. One of my favorite sayings is, what gets measured gets done. So we are really pushing measurement. That's easier said than done because there's different definitions. It's not one size fits all, but we think it's absolutely critical to measure where are we starting from, where do we want to be, and what's the path to get there. 4, base career progress on business results and performance, not on presence. What does that mean? When you look at individuals within a company, within an organization, are you measuring their presence on the golf course? Or are you measuring their numbers and the results that they're able to produce? 5, provide sponsors, not just mentors, to women well positioned for long-term success. I am very proud that I had a number of outstanding sponsors that pulled me up and pulled me along. And we're trying to promote that for every woman so that they can rise to their highest potential. To assist companies in meeting the goal of gender parity by 2030, developed a toolkit comprised of useful and practical actions a company can take with a focus on better understanding their baselines, improving intakes, and managing with a diversity mindset. The companies that have committed to follow the roadmap view the Paradigm for Parity movement as important for their companies and their inclusive plans. It was launched officially in December of 2016, so not that long ago, with 27 companies that have committed to the previous 5 points. And we're looking to really push it in the months ahead because we know it's one CEO at a time, one chief executive that will take the actions to jet and move the company forward. Just a few useful data points which will add to what Paula shared. Women occupy 14.2% of the top 5 executive positions. in S&P 500 companies. That's according to CNN Money. Women currently hold 20 or 4% CEO positions at S&P 500 companies, and that's just ridiculous. It needs to increase. You know, McKinsey found that advancing women's equality can add $12 trillion to global growth, with a full potential scenario actually resulting in total growth of $28 trillion. So follow the money. This is something that I feel passionate about. I know that there are strong women in all of our organizations that have the ability to rise to the top, to truly make a difference in this economy, in the future of all of those to follow, those that are coming out of the various universities, and know that one by one, if we put our energies together, we can truly make a difference. Thank you.
Okay, questions?
So I just have a question for you. I've spent over a decade in public accounting, and now I'm in a government fellowship, and so the cultures are very different in
Yep.
those two environments. And in public accounting, I think the gender gap, there was a lot more awareness, and it was all of these measures spoke to me. I never felt that as much. I felt like there was progress trying to be made. In the government, in the role that I am, there's very few women that have been in that role, and the leadership is all male. And so, and you feel that and you see that, but my question is, how do you bring, and I agree with everything you said because I do think that's the solution, but how do you bring awareness to the problem when the people at the top don't recognize that there's a problem?
Yeah, I think it's an excellent question, and I think part of it's educating, you know, and whether it's you or someone else, and that doesn't, because I had good sponsors, I did do a lot of educating along the way. You know, they would always be afraid that if my husband took a different job, I was going to leave. And, you know, my response was always, well, you know, John might take another job or position someplace else, and, you know, the net result's the same. We might both be gone. Or you can help us to both be able to stay and to grow and to advance. So I think part of what you can do is help educate. Make them aware if you're feeling like, you know, there aren't the opportunities, you don't have a sponsor. I highly encourage you to get a sponsor, because that person can help you work through the bumps along the way. Absolutely. There's one more.
If you had a magic wand number 5, what specific thing within one of those umbrellas would you do to really move the needle?
Wow, good question. I think you've got, in my mind, the most important thing that we can do is increase the number of senior women in operating roles and positions. It's very similar to what everyone in this room's been talking about. You know, as you see women that are leading the company, or they're in an operational CEO role, or we look at Hillary. You know, I think she lifted a lot of women, because other people then relate and say, wow, if she can do it, so can I. So that'd probably be the number one thing I would do. Thank you all.